Hey, welcome to Old Ass Movie Reviews. I'm Scott. There's Dave somewhere around here. And today,
Never get it right.
never will, never will. Whatever. Uh, it is Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly feature of Stepbrothers. Now, I've had for years people telling me I needed to watch this movie. And I'm like,
Right.
it just looks so fucking stupid. And it
Mhm.
is. Uh,
Mhm.
it is. It is.
I
And
will, yes.
I started off with this movie really despising it and it's like, I can't believe I'm gonna sit through this damn thing. And by the end of the movie, I was like, I really dig this movie. I really
Yeah.
like this movie.
Yeah.
So what was your take, Dave? Because you texted me almost the exact same thing. It's like, does this ever get better?
I think I texted you about 15 minutes into it, like, when am I going to laugh or something like that?
Ah.
Or when is this going to get funny? Um, and that's the warning, folks. Like, I, maybe somebody's going to watch this right off the bat and be like, oh, it's hysterical right out the chute. It took me 30,
Yeah.
35 minutes before I actually started laughing.
Yeah.
There was one scene where I started chuckling whenever the mom, um, Mary Steenburgen, and the stepfather Richard Jenkins, who is Nancy Huff, is Mary Steenburgen, and Dr. Robert Doback is Richard Jenkins. When they first meet, he's giving a lecture. She's in the audience. Their eyes meet, and you can just tell they're in heat right away.
Yeah.
That I chuckled at, and that was it. That was like the one thing that I chuckled. I was like, "Oh, that's." I wonder if
That was
this is going
cute.
to get
Yeah.
good. But here, backstory, real quick. We're really bad about not telling
We
backstories
are.
about the
We
story
are. So
because we've watched the movie. We're assuming you
I
watched the movie, so we just start
like to
talking.
think so.
Basically, there's two 40-year-old men. One lives with his dad. One lives with his mom. They should have been kicked the heck out of the house long. I didn't want to hear a cluck. A long,
You
long
won't on this
time
one. We
ago.
can fucking
Oh,
cluck and whatever.
right.
Yeah.
A long, long time ago. Like when they were 18, these two guys should have been kicked out of the house. Period. But they were still living with their parents. They still act like 12-year-olds, or even worse. I don't even know
Worse.
what they act like.
Worse.
Um, I would have had them put into a home someplace. And that was my biggest problem with this movie. Like I'm watching this, and initially, and I'm like, I can't get behind either one of these people. I would have kicked them out of my house. It's not funny. I'm not finding this funny. And I don't know what joke it was at about the 30, 35-minute mark that clicked for me, and I started laughing because John C. Reilly is just
He's
he's a
brilliant.
triple threat. He can dance, he can sing, and he can act. He is a
Yep.
triple threat.
And Will
Will
Ferrell's
Ferrell
the
played
same
Will
way.
Ferrell. Yeah,
Yep.
Ferrell played Will Ferrell. Um, but he's good in this. I'm
But
I'm not
that's
gonna
what
lie.
I expect when I see a Will Ferrell movie.
Yeah,
This is exactly who
exactly,
I expect to see. You
exactly.
know, I know that's what I'm going to get. One of the
But
things, I mean, we're
sorry,
talking
go
about
ahead.
this. You know, they still live at home, and it's frustrating for us to look. It's like, man, these fuckers should have been kicked out a long time ago. But
Yeah.
what happened to me is I realized this movie sets up a story that happens in many homes
Mhm.
everywhere. Um, Families split apart and then come back together, and you'll probably have some sibling rivalries between the step
Right.
siblings. And I could see that because I remember what it was like to be that young. And once I saw that was the joke,
Right.
here's something serious. But what if we took these poor kids and made them 40, but they still acted like kids? And it
Right.
sounds horrible and it does great. But I think for me, when John C. Reilly and Will Ferrell realized, did we just become best friends? The whole movie
Yeah.
changed. The whole movie
I
changed
think
at that point.
that's kind of the spot where I started laughing and going,
Yeah,
"Oh,
what's your
okay."
favorite dinosaur?
Now, yeah, Velociraptor.
Velociraptor.
But to continue real quick, so I don't lose
Yes,
my
sorry.
train of thought. But you're right. If they would have just used regular kids, like 14 or 15-year-old kids, it wouldn't have been funny because they needed to go to a different spot than you could with a 14 or 15-year-old
Yeah,
kid. So I
they had to
understand
go
that.
absurd. They had to go
Yeah, they
absurd
had to
with
go
it.
super absurd.
Yeah.
But anyway, Mary Steenburgen and Richard Jenkins, they fall in love, they get married. At the wedding, they show exactly how douchebaggery of both of their kids are. I mean, they're both just horrible
Yeah.
fucking. They have no respect for anyone or anything. They have to move in together. Mary Steenburgen and Will Ferrell move in with John C. Riley and Richard Jenkins. And then they introduce Adam Scott, who is Derek. And Derek is Mary Steenburgen's other son, and it's Will Ferrell's brother.
He's
Uh,
perfect in this role. Man, this guy plays a douchebag like no other, and he does it
so
so
well.
well.
But
Oh,
it's
man.
but he gets involved, and then you see the family dynamic. The father, the stepfather, really likes this guy. He really likes
Oh,
Derek.
yeah.
He can't stand Brennan Huff, and he
Yeah.
even doesn't really like his own son, Dale Doback.
No.
He doesn't even like.
You know, let me roll back a little bit. There's an early scene where I think before they're getting married or whatever, Dale is talking to his dad, and it's like, "You really want to do this? You know, we drink beer, we chase pussy or whatever, all this stuff." And he's like,
Yeah.
"We don't do that stuff."
Yeah, the father looks at him and says, "We literally don't do any of that together."
It's like, what?
But they get married. They start having problems because of these two idiots living with them. They're getting ready to kick them out. The stepfather's trying to kick them out. Mary Steenburgen is, of course, the clucking mother, hen. She's like, "Oh, well, do we have to do it so much?" She wants to get him out because she knows
She
they
does,
have
but
to.
she still loves both
she
boys.
also-
She's a
Yeah,
good person.
she also sees that they're trying. They're finally at least trying to do something. They're not successful. They're terrible at it, but she sees that they're trying. That causes friction between the two of them, and then they get separated, and the whole happy ending comes later. But I wanted to give you the background story.
Yeah,
Um,
there's a lot in here, and it's like what I said earlier. It's a serious movie, but since they decided to make it funny, they had to go absurd by putting
yeah,
40-year-olds acting like kids. I mean, all
yeah.
the way down to like sitting at dinner eating Dino Nuggets. They paid such attention to these kids. I mean, these kids, they were just like kids, and it was
Yeah.
those two. I haven't watched it yet. Somebody sent me a link to a bunch of behind the scenes improv. So much of this movie was improv.
I can't
Uh,
even imagine. Well, yeah, you
so
can kind of see it with those two.
yeah,
John C. Reilly's supposed to be really
when
good.
they were sleepwalking
Uh-huh.
both times, that shit was funny, man. When they at Christmas brings the tree and they're throwing the presents and everything. They were sleepwalking. It was hilarious. But
By the way, this is filled with spoilers. If you've never watched this before, we're
you know
spoiling
what?
the
Even if we
movie.
spoil it, it's I enjoyed this movie much more than I should have. Like I said, it started off really stupid. I like Will Ferrell movies. This is not my favorite. I still lean toward Talladega Nights, but man, this one's pretty good.
Yeah, Talladega Nights and of course Elf are my
Oh
two
God, yes, Elf. Now,
with him.
tell me you didn't see Buddy the Elf in some of this.
Oh, definitely. But that's Will Ferrell. That's
Yeah,
the character that
exactly.
he plays. So
But when he was acting like a kid, I was like, "Oh my God, it's Buddy.
yeah,
It's Buddy."
he starts getting his feelings hurt. There's a scene when Derek is up. They're having dinner together. Derek's older brother, Will Ferrell, Brennan, hides in a treehouse. John C. Riley's character, Dale, goes to find him in the treehouse, and they're talking. They're like, "Wow, your brother's a real dick."
Yeah, they bond over that.
They start bonding over a mutual enemy, which is Derek. Derek sticks his head up into the treehouse. He finds him. He starts giving him shit, and I had turned my head for just a second, but Dale punches him, knocks him out of the treehouse, and that's funny. At first, it's funny because they kind of start bonding.
Yeah.
Well, as Derek is leaving with his kids and his wife, and his wife is played by Catherine Hahn, who is just
she's great too in this.
beautiful in this. She cracks me up. I love her to death anyway, and you can see how she can play this part. But Catherine Hahn plays Alice, which is Derek's wife. And as Derek's leaving, he's got the kids in the car. You see Alice reach out of the bushes and grab
Dale.
John C. Riley, Dale, and pull him back. And that really turned me on. You hit my husband. This is because he treats her so poorly.
He's horrible.
He treats her horribly. He doesn't even really treat the kids well. I mean, even though they're all singing together, he doesn't.
He sets that
terrible,
up perfectly.
Like you see why she winds up doing what she's doing.
Yeah.
And she's like telling John C. Riley's character, I don't want to get too descriptive, but the description that she gives of how she's going to think about John C. Riley
I know.
that night is so descriptive. It's like, that's so dirty. I mean, she's just being filthy. And John C. Riley's character has
He doesn't
never
know
had
what's
a
going
girl,
on.
never had a girl even look at him before, let alone drag him and just start just like throwing herself at him. And he's just standing there like, what? And then she's trying to kiss him, and he doesn't know how to kiss because he's never kissed anybody. So, so that to me was just hysterical. That's when I just started guffawing. I was like, okay, where's this gonna go?
Yeah. Oh, where does it go?
Cut to the next scene where Catherine, John C. Riley's in the bathroom, going to the bathroom. He starts washing his hands. She kicks open a stall door and comes out, and he's looking at her. He's like, "You're in the men's room." She's like, "I've been waiting for you."
And she jumps right on him.
she like undoes him, and she does him right there in the guy's room.
Well,
and
it's so wet.
It's so funny, folks. Usually a scene like this would kind of give me kind of a cringe, like, oh shit, what are you doing? That's hysterical. Crazy. But this was absolutely hysterical.
All the way to her turning around and standing up in front of the urinal with her leg hiked in the air.
Throwing her leg
up on the wall.
You stick around, stallion, or something like that. I forgot what she says to him, but
she's great.
He played that part perfectly. And the whole time I'm sitting there watching this, I'm thinking, I hope she leaves Derek and goes with Dale, because those two are stupid for each other.
I know, it was awesome.
So the bathroom scene was freaking hysterical. Mom, when the mom at the end of the movie realizes what's going on with Dale and Brennan, that they've lost their soul, when they finally actually have to go out and get jobs and grow up. And it turns out Brennan is really good at it. He's really good at being like.
Oh, I mean, it was the Catalina wine mixer.
It was a Catalina wine mixer.
It's the fucking Catalina wine mixer.
He has to go get a job with his brother, Brennan. The character Will Ferrell plays has to go get a job with his brother, and his brother's just a gigantic douchebag, and he's so terrible. But he gives his brother a job, and then finally, somehow, Will Ferrell gets this Catalina wine mixer deal, which is where you just get all the millionaires and billionaires in this area to one spot, and he sells helicopters and shit to them. And he's successful initially until the guy that he hired to sing gets into
Who only does 80s Billy Joel.
Only 80s, only Billy Joel.
That in itself was a funny gag. It's like, because that guy kept hollering.
I only do Billy Joel. Billy Joel sucks. Then he comes off the thing fighting. But up until that point, he's very successful with this. And then he's like, oh my God, I've lost my job. The dad comes over. The father figures out also, like, I got to get these guys back together. They're just falling apart without each other. So the dad goes over and tells him how he wanted to be a dinosaur when he's a kid. And they're both looking at the dad like, you can't be a dinosaur, Dad. You can't. His dad's trying to do the little arms.
It's so funny. It's so stupid.
And then he's just going on this stupid story. And they're both like, you can't be a dinosaur. Oh my God, that was so stupid and funny. And I know all of this is out of context. But the humor, so funny. If you're going to watch the movie, I don't recommend skipping the first 30 minutes, because the first 30 minutes is all set up. You have to watch it.
There's some good stuff there. I mean, it really gets you going. You get to see Brennan's horrible brother douchebag right off the bat. You see how it all comes together. I think when he shows up is when I think it starts getting good. It's like, for me, I think 35 minute mark is, I actually looked at my clock when I was like, oh, that's the first time I had a really good laugh. So I hit the thing and it's like, 35 minutes. Okay. Now let's see what happens. Yeah, once that hit that mark. Yeah.
From that point on, it just was a guffaw. It wound up starting chuckles. Yeah. A laugh, a hearty laugh. And then by the end of the movie, literally a guffaw. I'm just dying. Like,
now, did you watch the end credit scene where they go back to the school?
Yes.
That was brilliant.
Well,
it was like right out of John Woo. This was a Hong Kong action flick they went back and kicked all those kids' asses. It was Fucking
They're
brilliant.
just slapping the shit out of a bunch of little kids, and they're walking off like they're walking into the sunset. And he's
It
like, "Well, the cops will be here any minute."
quite funny.
I
Quite
would have
funny.
just jumped on the helicopter and took off.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was a
Those
good
kids
setup. That was a good
deserved it.
setup.
I don't care what anybody says; those kids deserved it.
They did.
But
They
that
did.
was a
This is a good flick. It's it's a typical Will Ferrell movie, but when you for me when you pair Will Ferrell and John C. Riley
yeah.
together, there's some little magic that happens. They have such great chemistry together.
That's yeah. That's a good team. That's a good
They go
team.
together like cocaine and waffles. I'm just saying.
Cocaine and waffles. What did they said something like that in the movie?
Talladega Nights.
'Cause yeah, but they said
Uh,
something similar
they
to that
did.
kind of
Yeah, that's
thing.
right. They did.
And I just started laughing, and Kat and I started were like Talladega Nights. That's fucking hysterical.
Yeah.
The real quick
Yes.
part of their not to you, but to the people watching, part of their deal with their parents is they have to go to therapy. John C. Riley, I think, kind of takes to it, if I'm not mistaken. He's like,
Not Will though.
well, Will Ferrell keeps telling the his psychiatrist, who's played by Andrea Savage, and her character's name is Denise, and Andrea Savage is beautiful. She's just a knockout. And Will Ferrell just is like, "Are we dating now? We're boyfriend and girlfriend." And her character's like, "No, we're not. I am your therapist. We're not. There's no way, shape, or form we are ever going to be a thing." By the end of the movie, she's
Even though she's still denying it, she holds that the whole time, which
yeah,
is kind of
she's
funny.
falling in love with him.
Yeah.
It's just so funny when he
Yeah.
starts singing. How all the women just start swooning. It's just such a fun.
One of the things that
Like I said, go
I
ahead.
really that really cracked me up in this is when they went to do their presentation for Prestige worldwide. They
He's
release
doing
a
his
music
own echo.
they release a music video,
Oh,
Boats and Hoes,
Oats and
and
Hoes.
God, the whole time, who's driving the boat? Who's driving the boat?
Who's driving the boat? Then they turn the camera. Oh God,
It's funny. It's funny.
that's
This
funny for more than just the crashing of the boat reason.
there's a
But I
lot
love
there.
the mom's very proud of him that they even put this thing together, and
Yeah,
she's talking to him, and that while they're rapping, they're just being
it's
just
vulgar
typical
as
rap,
shit.
just typical rapping song, demoralizing women, talking about drugs, jerking off, whatever. And the mom's like, "Well, that's inappropriate."
I know. It was like
It's music, mom. And Mary Steenburgen, she was perfect for this.
she
She's
is.
beautiful enough to where you can believe this doctor who's got everything, all the money in the
Yeah.
world would just fall for her. And she's smart enough to fall for him. And neither one of these people, if you were just looking at this and being really critical, you would look at this and go, neither one of these parents would put up with this shit from these kids at all.
No,
They
no.
would have kicked them out a long time ago. But it's funny that they get together, they get separated, and then it takes the kids to get them back together. It's the
Yeah.
story was really well written, and the writers was actually Will Ferrell, um, and some guy named McKay was the last name.
Adam McKay, he's the
McKay.
force behind most of these Will Ferrell movies.
And the guys the three of them came up with the story together. So it was Adam McKay, Will Ferrell, and John C. Riley. So
Yeah,
all three of them came up with the story. The two of them who wrote it was Ferrell and McKay. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
it is. It's a good one. I do recommend it if you want to laugh. It is up there. It's again, you could do worse, you could do better, but
Yeah,
it's a solid movie. It's a Will Ferrell movie. This is what you're gonna get. I mean,
yeah.
it's stupid, it's funny, it's inappropriate.
It's
It's
very
awesome.
inappropriate. It's
Yeah.
very inappropriate.
It's and
Very,
I think the reason it works, and this is one of the we talk about how hard comedy is.
uh-huh.
The fact that this movie takes itself, I mean, it hits a serious subject and then just ramps everything up into such an absurd level while
Right.
holding true. And I've always found that that's when it works, is an exaggeration
Yeah.
of something that's factual, something that's actually there. And if you think it's too absurd, you're probably hitting just about right. You know,
Yeah, you're gonna hit it's like why the airplane movies work.
yes, because they're absolutely ridiculous.
They're absolutely super duper ridiculous, but there's a hint of truth. There is a danger for if you're on an airplane flying, however
Yeah.
many miles an hour an airplane
Yeah, I
flies,
mean, just a quick example.
30,000, 40,000 feet
You,
high.
you talk about the let's talk about the autopilot in airplane. I'm sure if there was an inflatable autopilot, it would have a nozzle to blow on to inflate it. So the airplane creators like, what if we put the nozzle below the belt?
And
There's your joke.
if men designed it, that's where they would put the nozzle for it to be blown
Sad to
up.
say, you were probably absolutely correct.
'Cause that's how I would design it.
Okay, and
Because I'm a jerk.
but yeah. So, final thoughts on Step Brothers?
Yeah, if you like Will Ferrell, if you like John C. Riley, if you like Mary Steenburgen, who I
Yeah,
just adore ever since I
absolutely.
can remember,
I like her in anything.
see this movie. It's fun. It is fun. For me, it took about, like I said, about a half hour for me to really get into it. But the minute it happened, I realized it happened. It was the first joke that really made me laugh. That I was like, there it is. That's that. This is where it's changed. And from that point on, it started getting a lot better.
Very
I
cool.
did not appreciate, as so many others did appreciate, the drum scene. Did not appreciate that one
That is
bit. And
hilarious.
yet so many people laughed. And I'm looking at that going, why? They didn't need to show that. They didn't need to
No,
show
no,
that
I'm
at
sure it was a
all.
prosthetic. I guarantee Will
Oh, I'm
Ferrell was
sure
not
it was.
really slapping his balls on a drum
I'm
set, but
sure it was too. But still, I'm just sitting there thinking,
I wonder if he still has those. I would hang him from my rearview mirror. You could just hang him right there.
that's the last man who told me no.
Like, cut off his balls.
They cut off his balls and hung them from my
I'm,
rearview
I'm
mirror.
gonna echo Dave's sentiment. It's a funny movie. You can't go wrong with it. It's Will Ferrell, John C. Riley. It's
Yeah,
the typical formula that just works. Just
those
works.
two. You're right. Those two work so well together.
They do. They do.
Mhm.
I understand their Sherlock Holmes movie is pretty bad, but
I've
I'm
heard
gonna
about
have
it,
to
but
watch it.
is it on Netflix or
I
anything?
haven't looked. I haven't looked. We will have to look for it and
I'm gonna
see.
have to, yeah,
Absolutely.
because I'm a
So,
huge Sherlock Holmes fan. So
yeah, there we go.
this may make me hate these two guys. I don't know.
It might. It might, but maybe not. Maybe not. So, thanks again, folks, for joining us. If you like what you hear, like what you see, please hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the share. We are on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Rumble. Um,
Bumble.
Yeah, and if you want us somewhere else, please drop me a line. Tell me where I can upload, and
Mhm.
please share, spread the word. We would love to talk about movies you want to hear about. If you want to
Yeah.
hear anything from us, please drop us a line. So, thanks again, and we will be back next week with something interesting, I'm sure.
Are we doing the man with the mustache?
I
Start.
believe so. Yes,
Let's
the
keep that a secret.
sexy
Sexy,
hairy man from the '70s with a
sexy hairy
mustache.
man from the '70s. Play girl centerfold. The whole
Likes
nine yards.
cowboy hats and Trans Ams. So Sally Field might make an appearance. So anyway, we will
We
see
didn't
you all
give
next
anything
week.
away.
Later.